Hello everyone, this is Saki from Team Lesson Up and welcome to our first video on IGCSE O-Level Biology. Today we are going to go through some fairly easy topic which is also the first chapter of your IGCSE O-Level student book from edXcel. The name of the chapter is Life Processes. The things that will be discussed in this video is pretty simple stuff and most of you already know or have at least a basic idea of what we will discuss. To make this video short, the first chapter is divided into two parts, so let's look into it. After finishing this chapter, you should be able to describe the characteristic of living organisms, recognize the structure of animal and plant cell, tell the difference between plant and animal cell, and understand the role and factors that affect the functioning of enzymes. Now, we are pretty sure as humans are living organisms, right? So there must be something that makes us living. So let us see what are the special characteristics unique to all living beings. First of all, we require nutrition. Humans require food to survive, and foods that we eat contains nutrients that provide us with energy. Of course, plants are also living organisms. Plants get nutrition from the earth and sunlight. Next, we can move. Imagine a world where we don't have the power to move. If we can't move, we can't do anything. So another characteristic that is unique to all living organisms is that they have the ability to move. Even plants are more or less can move. They move towards sunlight or to a more favorable position. We grow and develop. Growing is part of our life. We come to this world as an infant and gradually grow from a kid to an adolescent to an adult and then become someone's grandma or grandpa. With time, our mind and body grows and develops. Every other living organism grows through the same phase one way or another, though the process and the time frame may be different. Next, we respire. Respiration is the process by which our body produces energy from the food that we eat. If we did not respire, our body would have been unable to produce energy in order to maintain its life functions. We know humans require oxygen, which is essential for the process of respiration in our body. That's why we need to breathe. Plants, though it don't have a nose, takes in carbon dioxide and leave out oxygen through their leaves. Likewise, all living organisms need to respire. Next, response to stimuli. This means we respond to changes in our environment. We can feel if it's cold or hot outside. We know better than to put our hands in hot frying pan or dive in freezing cold water. Nevertheless, we do it sometimes. Anyways, we have the ability to feel even the slightest changes and responds to the changes accordingly. Even plants grow towards sunlight because the tree responds to the area while it gets the most sunlight. Next, we reproduce. Humans must reproduce to carry on our next generation. If we do not reproduce, the whole human race will be extinct. So this is another unique characteristic to all living organisms. We excrete. Our body creates a lot of waste products which we do not need, and keeping the waste products inside our body for long periods of time might be harmful. So we excrete the waste products. We excrete carbon dioxide when we breathe out. We also excrete waste products through our sweat, urine, and when we poop. This is true for all other living organisms, as all of them must get rid of their bodily wastes. Next, we have control. Just as our home have a temperature control system like a fan, AC, or a heater, our bodies have their own temperature control system. When it's very hot, we start to sweat, which cools our body, or when it's very cold, we start to shiver. That is, our muscles shake vigorously so that heat can be produced to keep us warm. Other organisms also have different ways by which they can control their body. So, the 8 essential characteristics that all living organisms in the world share are the 8 life processes. Just for the review, these are requirement of nutrition, movement, growth and development, respiration, response to stimulus, reproduce, excrete, and control. Now let's talk about cells. Cells are the basic building block of all living things. They provide structure for the body, take in nutrients from food and convert them to energy. So they are the basic unit of life. Organisms can be both unicellular, like this amoeba shown in this picture, which is a single cell organism. Its body is a single cell. or multicellular, like us humans who are made of trillions of cells. The above picture of different cells may confuse you, but no worries, you only need to know how a typical cell looks like. Let's look into a typical animal cell. The picture shows a simplified model of a cell which is a spherical shape contained by the cell membrane. There is a big nucleus in the middle, small rod-shaped structure called a mitochondria, and the rest is the cytoplasm. You might be asked to draw an animal cell, so drawing it as the picture should be enough to show an animal cell. Next, let's see what are the different levels that is shown in the picture. Each part of the cell is called an organelle. First is the nucleus. The nucleus contains chromosomes and is the house of most of the cell's genetics material, DNA and RNA. The nucleus is the control center of a cell and controls the activities inside a cell. Next comes the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a barrier which separates the cytoplasm from the outside. It is a selectively permeable structure, which means it allows selective materials to pass inside or outside of a cell. Next is the mitochondria. The mitochondria, or mitochondrion for singular, is a rod-shaped structure which is the main energy source of a cell. They are called the powerhouse of the cell because energy is created here. That means reactions of respiration is carried out inside the mitochondria. Next is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a fluid, jelly-like and also very complex substance that fills the cell. All the other cell organelles are suspended in this fluid matrix. The cytoplasm maintains the cell pressure and ensures it doesn't shrink or burst. Now let's look at a typical plant cell. As you can already see, there are quite a few differences between a plant cell and an animal cell we have just seen. The main difference is that there are some new organelles in a typical plant cell. It contains something new called a cell wall, a vacuole, and chloroplast. But the other organelles are the same. Next, so now let us see what are the purposes of these new organelles. First comes the cell wall. The cell wall, as the name suggests, is the border of the plant cell. It lies outside the cell membrane. It is made up of carbohydrates called cellulose and is a non-living material. It mainly provides support for the cell and helps withstand pressure. Cell wall is a freely permeable, so substances can freely enter and leave the cell. Next is the vacuole. The vacuole is an organelle which is sometimes also present in an animal cell, but is a permanent feature of plant cell. The vacuole contains substance called the cell sap, which is a mixture of carbohydrates and basically acts as a storage unit of a cell. Next is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is a very unique part of a plant cell, present in all green parts of a plant. Chloroplast contains a green pigment called chlorophyll, which gives the green color to plants. Chloroplast absorbs light energy, which is then used for the process of photosynthesis, which we will discuss in later chapters. This picture gives you an idea about the similarities and differences in both animal and plant cell. We can see both have some organelles in common, namely cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and mitochondria. Organelles found only in plant cell includes chloroplast, vacuole, and cell wall. So now we can easily differentiate between an animal and plant cell, which is a common question in your IGCSE O-level exam. In animal cell wall is absent, plant cell wall present. In animal cell, one or more vacuole which is temporary. In plant cell, there is a large permanent vacuole. In animal cell, chloroplasts are absent. In plant cell, only in green parts we can see chloroplast. In animal cell is round shaped, mostly irregular. In plant cell is rectangular in shape. So that would be all for today's lesson. I hope the video has helped you. If it has, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the next lecture, we are going to talk about these following topics. Until then, this is Sakib Rabbi signing off from Team Lesson Up, and I will see you in the next one.